Hello. So today I want to make a sous vide pork roast.
Hi everyone, this is Camper Cooking with Chef Paul. We are Americans living in France who have always liked camping and eating well. Like many of you, we bought a camping car after the first pandemic lockdown so we could still travel safely. Chef Paul does most of the food prep at home so we can have more time to explore. He will show you how a classically trained chef prepares great food even with a camper's minimal kitchen, utilizing historical and modern techniques.
So I have this nice pork loin. I want to season it with more sea salt, roughly equal part of whole rosemary, granulated garlic, and some coarse ground pepper. I don't always add thyme, but I really like the kind of a barbecue flavor I get from it. Just going to mix this up. And if anything, I'm a little heavy on the salt, but that's okay. So now I'm going to take my pork roast. This one has been trussed so that if I was to do this in the oven, it would hold its shape. I'm not really going to have that problem because I'm going to sous vide this, so the bag vacuum it in will help it hold its shape. So I'm not real worried about that. And these strings that they use to truss it are really just going to be in my way and add some inconvenience to me later. So I'm going to get them off now where it's easy to get them off. This is sous vide, and all that connective tissue will just melt away as I sous vide it, and all of it will become 100% usable. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and add some seasoning in there too. So you see I'm going pretty thick with this. And I'm actually going to add some more to the bag as I sous vide it. So I guess I'm ready to do that now. So I'm ready to put my roast in the sous vide bag. So we'll pull it out. I generally always make a bigger bag than I need. So now I just have this kind of hollow tube. So I need to turn it into a bag. This is a really inexpensive vacuum sealer. I've used expensive ones in the past, and well, you know what? Unless you're about ready to spend $1,000 or more, they're all pretty much garbage and only last for so long. A lot of people do this just in a Ziploc bag, and that's fine, but I really like how sous vide lends itself to camping so well. So let's see if it works. It looks like it vacuumed on the first try for a change, and I'll take that. Now I'm going to go 165 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 hours for this roast. And you can see I have a pretty good vacuum. I'm going to cook it, and it'll be sterile inside of that bag. So that gives me a couple of advantages that I really like for camping. One is that this fresh piece of pork, which would normally be good for about 3 weeks maximum, is now going to be good in the refrigerator for about 6 months. And it can actually even come out of the refrigerator for a little while, as long as you bring it up to full temperature, and still be healthy, still be wholesome. So I like that about sous vide, and I think it lends itself well to camping. Because one of the biggest disadvantages to sous vide is this meat's not going to be very pretty when it comes out of the sous vide bath. In fact, it's really going to need a way to get browned to make it eye appealing. The nice thing about sous vide is, while you're camping, is I can squeeze this into the refrigerator or a cooler, soak it in ice water. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to get waterlogged. I can brown it on the grill or in a skillet right over charcoal or wood coals while I'm camping, and make it really appealing visually, as well as pick up a little bit more flavor. So I'm going to get my sous vide machine ready. I'll show you. Here we are out on the front balcony of the apartment. There's the washing rat down there, just waiting for me to take it out camping again. And we can look along the canal, and we can look right over here and see that we have the sous vide machine running. It's heating right now. It's only at 119 degrees Fahrenheit, but rising. Set for 12 hours, and that timer will start once it goes. I've used lots of different sous vide ones over the years. I've used the ones that work with an app on your phone, and that's kind of handy, but it means it has to be connected to the Wi-Fi to work and makes it less portable. I had a different one in my camper in the United States. Didn't need Wi-Fi, and that was pretty good. My only advice with them is to get the one with the most wattage possible so it heats the quickest and most efficiently. But I think the chips are all about the same. I think they're all pretty accurate. You can always double check it with an independent thermometer. So we'll come back to this in about 12 hours. And then sometimes when you're using electrical appliances outside, it decides to rain. And that's probably not the safest thing. So I guess it needs to be moved in. Going to catch up the temperature pretty fast, and I'll see you again. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and my 12-hour sous vide is finally done. Turn off the sous vide machine, the wand. And here we go. You see all the juices that have leaked out of here, that have leaked out of the meat? That's going to happen every time you sous vide protein. And it's real important. This next step is really important, not just for food safety, but also for food quality. We want to shock this. This is 160 degrees right now. And we need to shock it in ice water. Now I'm going to use all of the ice cubes in France. That was that. Fortunately, the water here is still very cold, even in the middle of August, coming out of the ground. So we want to stop the cooking of the meat. We want to shock the meat, and it's going to suck a lot of those juices right back into the meat. And that's really important because I want this pork loin to be nice and moist. I'm going to refill my ice cube tray. Those of you in America probably don't know what this is, but if you still have great grandparents around, you can ask them. And they'll explain the technology to you. Europeans are very careful with their energy. They don't have a lot of it. They have to buy it from countries like Russia and America. So they don't use a lot. On the flip side, my electric bill last month was 39 euros. About 10% of what my electric bill was when I lived in Texas, running air conditioning and pool pumps and an ice maker like all of you have. This will probably be safe in its bag for about 3 months, as long as I keep it in the refrigerator. You won't taste the difference. It's essentially been canned at this point, but it's been canned in plastic. The next step will be to show it to you after we cook it at the camp. If you saw my compound butter video, you know I burn up my blender. And I agonized because I have a European kitchen, which means it's not very big, and I didn't know how I was going to replace it. The thing is, when I was making the compound butter, I may have mentioned that a food processor really would have been nice. So yeah, I went ahead and did it, even though I don't have room for all this stuff. I bought this beast. Great big giant thing, doesn't even fit into the frame of the camera, and it takes up about 7/8 of my counter space. I'm going to use it today. So I backed the camera way up so maybe you can see this beast that I have no space for, and we'll see if I can figure out how to use it. Canned pimentos are pretty easy to find, or if you find peppers on sale, well, just roast, let them cool. Scrape the outer layer off of it, scrape the inner layer out of it, and you can do the same thing. I'm going to drain these and puree them. I have 2 big jars of them. This is 370 grams net, and this one looks like there's a nice chunk of garlic in there, and that's going to work great for my sauce. Some canned sliced jalapenos, and this time I actually do want the juice. That's a 1 year supply of jalapenos for the average Frenchman. It'll be almost enough for you and me. All right. Guess this thing needs electricity. Let's see what it does. The automatic pulse function, that was kind of cool. Looks pretty good. I know it's going to need some wine. Let me see what I can find. I have some local Pinot Blanc here that one of the winemakers around here gave me when I bought 6 bottles or more of his good wine. This I didn't think was that great, but I think it'll reduce and be just fine for a sauce. Not to mention, it's one of those little teeny tiny split bottles, which what's the point of that?
You're wrong if you think that the joy of life comes principally from human relationships.
It does look like these pimentos were fire roasted, at least lightly.
People just need
That's really not quite fine enough. I want it to be really fine.
there's something interesting.
I think that's off to a good start. It's really sharp, not just because of the jalapenos, but because of all that wine that hasn't been reduced. What I'm going to do is put it in a saucepan and cook it on very low heat for about an hour. And we'll put it on low, like I said. I've been crying some butter over here, and I've been pulling the protein solids off the top. You know what though? I don't mind that making this a little bit more velvety. I think that'll come out really nice. Need some lemon. If you squeeze the lemon juice through your fingers, you catch the seeds. And it might help with some of that garlic smell that's all over your hands anyway. That really helped. Of course, we won't know until it's finished. It's a pretty nice little pork loin. And I'm not camping, but I'm still hungry. So I'm going to slice it. Got some olive oil here in the bottom of the pan. See, I jumped the gun just a little bit. I'm just getting a little sizzle, so turn that up and wait a moment. I'm gonna save my end cuts for a sandwich later. The biggest problem with sous vide is you don't get a lot of color in it. You really need to think about ways to reheat your meat that's going to give you some color. Although it almost doesn't matter with this dish, because we're going to use our roasted pimento sauce to finish this dish.
I'm gonna miss you when you go.
I'm missing too, Loin. But you're wrong if you think that the joy of life comes principally from human relationships.
Keep cooking down that sauce
People
to reduce it.
There's some kind of interesting you'll appreciate. I had my mother was an only child, and so was my father. And, I was their only child. So, I'm going on the end of the line.
Yeah, it looks pretty yummy. It's time to eat.
When you say,
This is the leftover pimento sauce. 4 little jars going into the pressure cooker. I'm going to go 15 minutes at the number 2 at the high setting. That's probably overkill, but should be safe for just about ever when I do it that way. Really love the way my pressure cooker works here. So that'll be shelf stable for years. It won't last that long, but it'll be there for us. And we can use it with chicken or pork, either one. Probably even with fish. probably be a nice space with a spot show suit.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff we can do.
Say, your grandfather